Now here's a secret that you should know about pull-ups. It's not about jerking yourself up. It's about feeling your shoulder blades contract and using your back to pull you up. We're going to go over the secrets of getting a nice wide back. You know, it's one thing to have muscles, good shoulders, good arms and everything, but if you have a narrow trunk, you're just not going to look very aesthetic. So you want to have a nice wide back. You want to have the wings to fly. So today we are going to go over exercises that are going to make those lats wide. A great way to get a wider back is to do pull-ups. And pull-ups are a great way to warm up. They really engage your back. So the sooner you can make that mind muscle connection, the wider and better lats you'll get. I'm going to take a nice wide grip. I'm going to pull, pull, pull. Now, the beauty of an assisted pull-up machine is that you can go heavy. Just make sure that you use really good form. And if you need to, use time under tension and just really make that mind muscle connection. I'd probably do, you could start off with like 3 sets of a warm-up at a light weight at 15. And if you're coming back to use this as a primary exercise, you know, do 3 sets, 8 to 12, and try to go as heavy as you possibly can on the last one. This is a good alternative for a wide grip lat pull down if those machines are busy. So you know, you can still go heavy on this, but just use the best form that you possibly can. Don't take too narrow of a grip. Take a nice wide grip so that that lat is engaged. Make sure that you stick around to the very end so that you get a bonus tip that's going to make all the difference in the world when it comes to getting that wider back. So of course we have to talk about a wide grip lat pull down. You know, it is a great way to get a wider back, and it really works that teres major a lot as well. So let's talk about the form with this one. A lot of people do this form wrong. They have poor range of motion and they just do it incorrectly. So let me show you an example of what you are not supposed to do. Don't do this or this. Sit straight up in the seat, look up at that pulley, and just pull to the chin level. Squeeze those shoulder blades together. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. And get a good stretch. One of my favorite things to do, especially on the first set to get this lats warmed up, pull, 1, 2, 3. Pull, 1, 2, 3. This is a tempo 10-30 set. So when you do this, you want to do this in the hypertrophy range. So you want to do 3 sets, 8 to 12 reps. My last set of 8 is pretty darn heavy, but I have as much control as I possibly can. The first set is usually 50% of the load of my last set, so I make sure I use a good tempo. My favorite tempo to use is a 10-30. Meaning I'm pulling it straight down and I'm going up at a 3-second count. My second set I might do as a pause. I'll pull it straight down, hold it for 2 seconds, maybe 3 seconds, and then slowly raise it back up. But putting all that time under tension is really going to make that teres system and those lats grow. And that's going to give you that big X frame that makes you look really aesthetic. This is the straight arm pull down. I have my hands kind of at a 45-degree angle. I'm pressing down into it from this position and I'm pull all the way through. Get a good stretch, pull all the way through. Try to pull a little past your hips. You got to find that perfect angle. You can do the straight arm pull down 1 arm at a time or 2 hands at a time. You could also just start with your hands closer together and only pull down part of the way to get more of that upper lat. But this straight arm pull down is a really good exercise, but make sure that you get a full range of motion. So I would probably do 3 sets, probably 8 to 12 reps. Make sure that you feel it. And this exercise can be done on a crossover machine with two. Make sure you use really long ropes, and that's why I prefer to do this on a free motion machine, because I'm not in anybody's way. I'm not using two ropes, and it's just a little easier to get set up on this particular machine. But the straight arm pull down is a really good exercise for making that back wide. If you've been enjoying today's content, then don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. You can also follow me on Instagram at Masters Muscle. This is a Nautilus pullover machine, and it is a fantastic machine. This really helps work with that latissimus dorsi and the teres major. So this is going to add width. And it's the equivalent of doing a dumbbell pullover, but it's a lot more controlled. So the major thing that I see people do wrong on this machine is they have a very small range of motion. So it's really important that you take a deep breath and drive it down and squeeze it. Get it up as far as you possibly can, and you're driving through your elbows so you can feel that contraction in your lat. Now, if you don't get a pump after each and one of these sets, then you're not doing it right. And if you can't go very heavy, then use time under tension. Our objectives with the exercises today to get a wider back are, if you want to grow the muscle, then we need hypertrophy. So with this exercise, I'd probably do 3 sets, 8 to 12 reps, and use time under tension. Make sure that you feel that pump after every set, and one of the ways that you do that is staying hydrated. If you don't have a pullover machine like a Nautilus or one of the Panetta machines, this is a good alternative. And of course you can do a dumbbell pullover, but when you get really heavy on that, then you lose a lot of your range of motion, and it can get kind of scary too. So this is a two-handled pull down, and this is really going to work your teres system and your lats. This is your range of motion here. You want to pull it down there, pull, pull. You want to widen out your lats, feel them engage, and squeeze them at the bottom. So you don't need to go too much higher than this. You're just pulling here. You can see that everything is engaged right there. So just a good pull, a good pull. You're not going to be able to pull really, really heavy loads on this and without losing your form. So I would probably do 3 sets, maybe 10 to 15 reps. And once again, use time under tension. And you really should get a pump after every single one of these. You're going to hear it again and again. This is an exercise I really like for working the lats one arm at a time. So I'm on a high row machine, and I'm literally grabbing the handle that's up behind me, and I'm gonna pull straight down and behind me, and I'm really gonna squeeze that lat. So let me show you what this looks like from the other side. So I get a good extension, squeeze hard, squeeze hard. With this exercise, I'd probably do 3 sets, like 8 to 12 reps. Go as heavy as you can and just really squeeze it hard. And you better get a pump after each one of these. If you are trying to add mass and you want to get a big wide back, then you need to make sure you're eating plenty of protein. And so you want to make sure that you have a quality protein powder. So go to Old School Labs and order their vintage brawn. I really like the dark chocolate. That's my favorite. And if you use my code Masters Muscle, you'll get 15% off. Time to look at a Meadows Row. This is named after John Meadows. This really works that teres major really well. I honestly don't use this exercise as part of my routine, but it really does work well if you want to build up that teres and that upper part of your lat. So you use a landmine. You're going to grab it right up here in the front, You're gonna sit back on your heels and pull with your elbow kind of straight out to some degree. I'm gonna do this on the other side so you can see it a little better. But I promise, you feel it. If you have issues with your lower back or you have easily strained lower back, then I would not recommend this exercise. But if you're a nice, strong, young buck, it's a good exercise to try. I would probably do 3 sets of maybe 10 to 15. Take your time with it. Alternate arms, and I promise you're really going to feel your lats engage on this exercise. So using a low row is a great way to work on that lower insertion part of your lat. Now this will add thickness to your back, and I know the purpose of this video was to talk about getting a wider back, but you need to get some thickness around that low insertion point so that you look wider. Now I want to go as heavy as hell on this thing with as much control as possible. So I usually do like 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps with as much control as I possibly can. And I really want to feel it and get a really good stretch. All right, this is the low row, and you really want to try to feel that lower lat squeeze up. Squeeze up. This is simulating a 1-arm dumbbell row, but I really like this machine because it keeps me pressed down into the seat, and I can really feel that back activate. So I'm really trying to let it go down as low as I possibly can and squeeze hard. Made it to the end of the video. So here is the bonus tip that's going to make all the difference in the world. And that is, so many people can't feel the engagement. So you should be able to learn how to pull your lat up. So if you bring your arm up, you should be able to squeeze it and have it engaged. Learn how to do that. Stand in front of the mirror, lift that arm up, and squeeze and engage that lat. On every exercise, you need to feel that engagement. And that's why I'm constantly harping on using time under tension, because when you do that, you're gonna feel the engagement, or the chances of you feeling that engagement are a lot higher. When you just throw heavy weight around, you're not really making that engagement. So work, strive for making that mind-muscle connection, and I promise you, you are going to get that wider back that you've been hoping for.